Hello, dinguses. We got to get this crawl rolling. Come on, guys. We're going to be late. The military's going to catch us. Meet me at the squawk in 10 minutes. Come on, dinguses. Let's go. Hey there. So, yeah, I know. Classic me. I'm a little late. And I'm currently freezing. Georgia is shockingly cold right now. And that's why I'm wearing a beanie, a hoodie, and currently leggings. Because I also just went for a run, and I'm freezing. That's just the name of the game here. We don't know why. But I'm here to review Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 1, all 4 episodes. This is Bradford's Late Reviews, where a review may be late, but the timing is never incorrect. Let's dive in. So since Stranger Things came out, I've been hooked from the jump. I love these characters. I love this world for the most part. The goopiness is a little, could be better. Stranger Things has been a very influential part of my life, especially season 4. Not only with where I remember where I was during that time, I was in a really kind of precarious spot in my life, and the dark part of that season was really introspective and really thought-provoking, especially with the introduction of Vecna as a villain, a very complex figure in this mythology, but yet so grounded in what Stranger Things actually is and what it aims to be, which is a show built on nostalgia, fun, and hope. And that is why I have fallen in love even more deeply with the show over the past couple seasons. Now, a little bit about this season. It is 8 episodes long, split into 3 volumes. Volume 1 released the day before Thanksgiving. Volume 2 is releasing on Christmas Day, and the finale of the show is releasing on New Year's Eve 2025. And this has been the longest wait of any of the seasons that we've had. It was 3.5 years since Volume 2. That is way too long in my opinion. I have rewatched the show multiple times since then, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But the Duffer Brothers definitely ran into some development issues with this season, not only with the recent news surrounding David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown, but on top of that, you had the writer's strike in 2023. You had ongoing COVID restrictions during that time, and Netflix is known to cancel shows well before their due date, which is really sad. But thankfully, they invested enough time and money in Stranger Things to see it through to completion. Now, I believe that the Duffer Brothers have a... Sorry, I just hit the table that I'm recording on. That's really tragic. But the Duffer Brothers seem to have a really good grasp on the story that they're trying to tell and tell to completion. I can see the 5-part structure of this show, which I think is really smart, and a lot of really well-told stories. Most of them are told, this is something that's been on my mind a lot recently. Most well-told stories are told in an odd number of installments. Harry Potter is told in 7. Lord of the Rings is told in 3. We'll see if A Song of Ice and Fire is told in 7. The Wheel of Time kind of breaks that rule. It's told in 14 installments, but you can kind of break it up into three main eras, if you will, even though it's a long story. It's a really, really long story, but you can kind of break it up into 3 parts. What else? Red Rising, you might be able to do so. Narnia is told in 7 books. I mean, the list is endless. Supernatural was intended to be a 5-season show. So, I mean, typically with an odd number of installments, you have a very clear beginning, you have a very clear middle, and a very clear end. And I think it's smart that Stranger Things is ending with a season 5 because the show could feel very repetitive to a lot of viewers. And this is where, again, even within that 5-season structure, this final season is split into 3 parts, which is really smart because it allows fans time to speculate and theorize about what's going to happen to the characters in the final stretch. Now, my actual thoughts on this first drop, they're pretty positive. I believe that having Will front and center for these 4 episodes is really brilliant because the show started with him. It needs to end with him and his connection to Vecna and his connection to the Upside Down, and seeing him actually like finally break out of his shell with that final last 5 minutes of Sorcerer was sublime. Just wonderful stuff. I think fans have really been looking forward to that for years, and him finally showing some assertiveness with Joyce and with Mike. There's a lot of theories around Will and Mike that I don't necessarily agree with. I think Netflix left it ambiguous enough for the audience to kind of try and figure it out on their own. It could mean his sexuality. I don't know. I'm not an expert on human psychology by any means. Or it could just mean Will is finally coming into himself. Or it could be both and. I'm not sure. But it was really cool to finally see Will's arc come full circle and have him paired off with a character like Robin, who audiences have loved. I loved her more in 3 than I did in 4. In 3, she was like the really cool, edgy side character who was just a really good person to have paired up with Steve Harrington to give him a friend. In season 4, she was a little too talky for me, but I still liked her. I just didn't have as high of thoughts on her as I did in season 3. I think pairing Will off with Robin was like the most brilliant move of these 4 episodes. Not only that, I really liked how they didn't really waste any time jumping into the main plot of the season. It just felt kind of a natural continuation of what was going on between the seasons, even though I wish it was a little bit more fleshed out as to what happened between seasons 4 and 5. Stranger Things has never really explained what happens between the seasons, which is annoying. And it felt natural that all the characters were finally working together. Yeah, there was some butting of heads between certain characters like Steve, Jonathan, Nancy. That I felt was pretty natural. And then the introduction of newer characters like Derek, this is not necessarily a new introduction, but Holly Wheeler, she's recast and centralized to these 4 episodes. And I think that was really smart to elevate an existing character instead of just introducing someone new. On top of that, I believe that as you've seen my shorts, I have a ton of theories on what could happen in the last 4 episodes of the show. But I don't know. It could be anything. I don't think we're going to be surprised. I think we will be shocked by some of the things that will happen. I mean, there's hinted at multiple dimensions inside of the Stranger Things world. I don't know. Given the D&D theme, I think it's highly possible we will have some of that mythology come back into the storytelling, and I'm excited for that. I have played D&D several times myself. I think it's a really fun game. Some of the deep cut mythology I'm not as familiar with, but I would be curious to see how they tie that in. I love seeing characters like Mike really use that knowledge of D&D to encourage characters like Will and Holly. And that is another thing I was really high on for these 4 episodes, is Mike Wheeler has come out of the woodwork and he has grown so much. I am so thrilled with what they have done with his character this season so far. I do have some Definitely some nits to pick. The pacing of these 4 episodes is all over the place. The exposition is a little clunky, in my opinion. I wish it wasn't. I think it was just a little all over the place initially. I was like, what is happening? I had a little bit of tonal whiplash on the first episode, just like trying to figure out what are they trying to do? And then all of a sudden it just picked up so quick, and you have the end of Sorcerer, and I'm like, okay.
That escalated quickly.
I don't know. I'm just used to the binge model and having the season split up. Even though I said I liked it, it does throw a wrench in things and does throw me off. Having like the group split off so early and having, they kind of showed their hand with the Holly Wheeler stuff. I wish that was a bit more of a surprise, and they just didn't release the episode titles so that fans wouldn't like constantly theorize, because that kind of took the fun out of who was going to be the main focus of the season. That got really frustrating to me. I still enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I was like, everyone knew it was going to be Holly Wheeler, just plain and simple. That just kind of took me out of the whole experience, and I wasn't riding as high on that. And also at the same time, like the bully stuff, do we have to rehash the bully stuff? I'm tired of that. I was not as low on it in season 4 my first few times watching through it, but on a couple of recent rewatches, I can't even watch the skating rink sing because it is so unbelievably cringe, and it doesn't tell us anything new about who Eleven is. And I don't want to see any more of these characters get bullied. I just don't. I get it. They're outcasts, they're freaks, they're nerds. Trust your audience, Netflix. Like, we know that they're nerds. We get it. Stop telling us that. And also, this is a big one. Not killing off characters is really showing this season. Like, one character in particular that they've done a couple of fake out deaths with, and that was really frustrating because it's happened multiple times at this point, and I'm kind of sick and tired of that. One, because just kill off your characters. If you're going to kill them off, leave them dead. Or, I don't know, give them an arc that's not repetitive. Some characters like Hopper, I feel like there's growth and then backslide and then growth again, then backslide again, then growth again, then backslide again. Joyce, it doesn't feel like they really know what to do with her anymore. In some degree, Robin, but also I wouldn't have traded Robin's scene with Will in the tunnel for the world. I think it was beautiful, and I think it was, again, I cannot praise the writers enough for putting those two characters together, finally. I think also, like, the whole confining a final season or a whole story to 8 episodes is really showing here. You can definitely tell there's things that they wanted to include, or it feels like there's things they wanted to include that were not included because of time constraints. I know that's weird saying because these episodes can be long, but I feel like there just needs to be some more fleshed out, if that makes sense. These 4 episodes are really, really good. They could have slowed down a little bit so we can kind of fix some of the character stuff and fix some of the pacing stuff. But all in all, I really enjoyed these 4 episodes. I'd give them a 7.5 out of 10, I think would be my initial thought on an objective review. Definitely not as high on them as I was on the first half of season 4, but I'm excited to see what volume 2 has in store, and I'm excited to go from here. And thanks for tuning in to Bradford's Late Reviews. And on top of that, always remember this.
Driver picks the music.
Shotgun shuts.